Brexit poll, do you think the UK and EU will agree a trade deal? Brexit negotiations have now reached a critical point with the end of the transition period fast approaching. Do you think the UK and European Union will agree a trade deal? Britain left the European Union on January 31, with Boris Johnson delivering on his Conservative Party manifesto pledge to get Brexit done with an exit deal reflecting that Brexiteers voted for. The two sides have been locked in post-Brexit trade talks since March in the hope of striking an agreement for the end of the transition period on December 31. But heated talks have frequently turned nasty, with repeated deadlines missed as negotiations blame each other for the constant deadlocks and demanding the other relaxes their stance on several red lines. The EU has demanded Mr. Johnson extend the transition period beyond the end of this year for talks to continue, a request Downing Street has flatly rejected. Do you think the transition period should be extended? The key stumbling blocks have continued to be fisheries and the EU's level playing field, and so far, the Prime Minister has refused to bow to EU demands on both. The UK and EU are continuing to stand firm, and increasingly warning that a no-deal outcome is now the most likely scenario. Mr. Johnson has warned the prospect of a trade deal with the EU is looking difficult, with Brussels chief negotiator Michel Barnier warning time is quickly running out in Brexit talks. The Prime Minister repeated the onus is on the EU to see sense and offer a significant compromise, or the UK will leave the bloc at the end of the transition period without a deal. Do you trust Boris Johnson to successfully deliver the Brexit deal voters want? Mr. Johnson has warned the prospect of agreeing a trade deal with the EU is looking difficult, as Brussels chief negotiator Michel Barnier said there are just a few hours left in the Brexit talks. He also reiterated no sensible government could agree to a deal that does not give their country control of its laws and waters, the two major sticking points for Downing Street in negotiations. Speaking during a visit to Greater Manchester, the Prime Minister said, "Our door is open, well keep talking, but I have to say things are looking difficult. There's a gap that needs to be bridged. The UK has done a lot to try and help, and we hope that our EU friends will see sense and come to the table with something themselves, because that's really where we are." While Mr. Johnson admitted a failure to agree a trade deal may be difficult at first, he has insisted Britain will prosper mightily and the nation must look to the opportunities that will open up to this country in 2021. Earlier on Friday, Mr. Barnier told the European Parliament the two sides now stand at the moment of truth with a very narrow path to securing a breakthrough. He said, "We have very little time remaining, just a few hours, to work through these negotiations in useful fashion if we want this agreement to enter into force on January 1.